All right, good afternoon, everyone. Thank you so much for coming here to the All-Alaska Pediatric Partnership. We are just launching our virtual attendees right now. So welcome, everyone, as you're getting connected on Zoom. We're so grateful that we're here today at Prov. Here in the beautiful Willow Room. We've got great lunch. We hope everybody who's online is eating a good lunch too. And so we're just grateful everyone's here today. I would love to introduce Meg, who will be doing our welcome this afternoon.
Hi there, everyone. Thank you so much. And as was just said, welcome to Providence, Alaska Medical Center. We could not be more pleased to host this event for you all. My name is Meg Horvath. I serve as the Executive Director for the Providence, Alaska Children's Hospital and also Women's Services. And this is a really special opportunity. I've only been in this role for about 5, almost 6 months. So it's nice to see all of your faces and hopefully get to meet a lot of you who are online and connect at your upcoming conference. So from a logistical perspective, important things, out the door to your right, you'll take a left and go in front of the staircase. Facilities, restrooms, both male and female, will be on the right-hand side. So once again, exiting the doors to your right, you'll take a left and walk in front of the staircase, continue down the corridor, and then the restrooms will be on the right-hand side. So once again, thank you again for your participation today. So happy to meet you all, and look forward to connecting. I'll turn it back over. Thanks.
Before we get going with our next phase, I would just love to take the opportunity here in the room to introduce ourselves. We've got a lot of familiar faces that I know I've personally worked with and love to connect with, as well as a great opportunity to network. So I'm going to start over here on my left side of the room. If you want to introduce your name and what agency you work with.
Hi everyone, I'm Aggie Fouts. I'm with A2P2 and I'm the Director of Administration and Finance.
Hi, I'm Carmen Wenger. I'm the Director of Programs for the All-Alaska Pediatric Partnership.
Hi everyone, Tamar Ben-Youssef, Executive Director for the All-Alaska Pediatric Partnership.
I'm Bruce Hess. I'm a pediatrician at Matsu Regional and Targeting Pediatrics, and I'm also on the board of directors of the children for all PT and the children's list.
Hi, I'm Heather Foxworthy. I am with UAA's Child Welfare Academy, where I am the state lead for the Parents as Teachers program, as well as a trainer for FAN, Strengthening Families, and soon to be Be Thrive.
And I'm Lisa Gagne Danielson. I work for Pediatric Travel Home Visiting.
Okay. I'm Carrie Peluso. I am the Chief Nursing Officer here at Providence, Alaska Medical Center. And the Providence, Alaska Children's Hospital does roll up through my line. And I will be a new board member starting next month.
I'm Amy Simpson. I'm the Executive Director of Programs for Infants and Children, which is the learning program that serves the Anchorage, Whittier, Girdwood, and then 6 villages in the Iqaluit area.
Awesome.
Hi everybody, my name is Betty Mar Arai. I with the municipalities of Anchorage with special with the Women, Infant and Children Week.
Thank you.
Excuse me. I'm Kristen Spencer with the Department of Education and Early Development, and I work on the early learning team.
Hi everyone, I'm Shannon Parker. I'm the Early Childhood Systems and Parents as Teachers Safety Visiting Program Manager, and I'm with Women's Children Family Health Division of Public Health.
My name is Mariah Neeser, and I also work for Women's Children's.
Awesome.
Hi, I'm Amy Collins. I'm the Executive Director of Students for Program Assignment.
I'm Karen Conrad Michaels, and I'm the manager of the Providence First Family Partnership Program.
Hi guys, I'm Kristen McKay. I work at South Central Foundation. I'm a clinical supervisor, a licensed clinical social worker, and I support behavioral health integration for integrated peds, behavioral health teams, Utah Civic Tribal Home Visiting, which is our nursing and partnership program, Alaska Cares, which is a partnership with Providence, and then specials in pediatrics as well. It's great to meet you.
I'm Joanne Singleton. I work for the state in the Division of Public Health, Women's Children's Family Health. I run the State Alaska Metabolic Clinic and the Title V Children Youth with Special Healthcare Needs Director, and I'm also the Project Director for the Pediatric Mental Health access care program, which we call PALPAC here in Alaska.
I'm Lara Locker, perinatal and early childhood unit manager within the section of Women's, Children's, Family Health, Division of Public Health. I'm also the NICD state lead, maternal, infant, early childhood medicine.
Hi everyone, I'm Jess Quinn. I'm also in the Department of Health in the chronic disease section. I'm the program director for the Comprehensive Cancer Control Program, and I'm here today as a representative of our HPV committee of the Alaska Cancer Partnership.
I am Robin McComas. I'm a family support specialist too with Elmira, Alaska.
Hi, I'm Brooke Wellman. I'm the Grants and Development Coordinator for A2P2.
We'll go ahead and go to the back.
All right, I'm Scott Wellman. I'm medical director for the Providence, Alaska Children's Hospital.
Hi everyone, my name is Beatrice Snyder and I am the nursing director for the Children's Hospital here at Providence Community Services.
Excellent.
I'm Becky Morrissey, also one of the Women's, Children's, Family Health people.
I'm Donna Reisinger. I'm the Communications and Training Coordinator for A2P2.
Excellent. And my name is Ryan Honeman-Keha, and I am the partnerships lead. So thank you everyone for your introductions. If you're online, please feel free to introduce yourself to the group as well. So we're going to start today with some announcements by our Director of Programs, Carmen Wenger.
Yeah. We're going to start out, I am going to do some announcements, but our first major announcement is for A2P2. We're welcoming back our executive director after her sabbatical. So we're very excited to have Tamar back. And if you want to say a couple words, and then we'll go on to.
Thank you, Carmen. Hi everyone. It's really good to see everyone's faces again, new and folks I already know, and got to be a new board member, and I'm very excited to be back on a wonderful 6-month sabbatical. Got to spend a lot of time with family in Israel and travel with my family and spend some time here in Alaska. And, but mostly I just wanted to thank my team, the entire A2P2 team, staff and board for more than holding down the fort while I was gone. They did incredible work. I knew they would, but they really knocked it out of the park. I'm very excited about coming back and getting back into things, and there's a lot happened. So, but I am really grateful. Carmen and Aggie at the helm, they've done amazing work while I was gone, and I was grateful for the opportunity to just refresh and focus on family for a while. Now we're back. So, thank you.
We're glad you're here. So we do have a couple of announcements. The first is we're excited to be here for our October partnership meeting in November. Instead of a monthly partnership meeting, we will be having the Pediatric Symposium. It is November 8th and 9th at the Marriott. Registration is open, so we hope to see you there, and please go online and register if you have not done that already. Early bird registration ends on the 7th. So please do that now to take advantage of that opportunity. If you have more questions, you're welcome to see any of the A2P2 staff members, but especially like myself or Donna would be great people to talk to if you have not never attended that event or have questions about it. There's some QR codes for more information, or go to our website. The other slides with the announcements. We're going to not worry about the slides that had the other announcements on it, but the two other announcements we had are A2P2 has recently released our infant early childhood mental health needs assessment. It is making its way out into the world, but it is posted on our website now. So if you haven't received it directly from me, you can talk to me and I will send it directly to you, or it is posted on our website now. So we're working on doing more formal presentations. We debuted at our Sitka partnership meeting, to which most of you were not able to join us because there was no internet in Sitka. But We are working on doing some more formal presentations and engaging with the recommendations from that report, but I encourage you to take a look at that if you have not seen it yet. There's some really great information about the state of infant and early childhood mental health in Alaska. And you're welcome to talk to me if you have questions about that. And our other announcement is there's going to be a series led by Joanne Singleton, who's here in the room with us, on adolescent healthcare and transitions coming up, and it's co-hosted with Stone Soup Group. So if you have questions about registration or want more information about that, we happen to have her in the room with us today. And those are all the announcements we've had, so we're going to move on.
Thank you.
Excellent. Well, today our first presenter is joining us virtually. So we have Kristen Mortensen from the Alaska Behavioral Health joining us today. Kristen, are you there?
Can you hear me okay?
Yes, we can.
Was that a yes?
Oh, yes, we can hear you.
Okay, just making sure.
Yeah, sorry.
Thanks for allowing me the opportunity to join virtually. I am very close by, but not feeling 100%. So wanted to make sure everybody can stay well in our flu and cold season. So good afternoon, everybody. My name is Kristen Mortensen. I'm the clinical director here at Alaska Behavioral Health, and I support many of our child and family programs statewide. So next slide, please. Okay, I want to just start out, I know we just have a brief amount of time, but talk a little bit about some of the values that underlie our services here. And one is evidence-based practice, and really the first evidence-based practice is getting the right service at the right time. And from our perspective, the time is when children and families need the service. So we do offer open access to services. We haven't had a wait list for services for 5 years now, which I'm very, very proud of. Our access looks very good across the organization, but still I find when I have talks with people, there still is this understanding or belief that there's an extensive wait list for mental health and behavioral health care services. So I wanted to let everybody know we do have access for services within 10 days of the phone call for kids and families. We also think about there's no wrong door for services. And sometimes families and referral sources don't know what type of service is going to best meet the needs of kids and families, and that's okay, because we'll help figure that out through a mental health assessment. There's no need for a really specific referral if there's just a concern of this child is evidencing some challenges with behavioral health concerns. We'll figure out what's going to best meet their needs, and if we can meet that need here at our organization. The other piece that I really try to highlight in terms of our values is that we do relationship-based care. So we do a lot of work with caregivers who are taking care of kids. And we have many different programs that really support the adults that are caring for kids. We have a parenting class, which I'll talk about a little bit, and 2 evidence-based treatment protocols that really focus on supporting the carers for kids. So relationship-based care is pretty important. We know a lot of the work comes from supporting the adults that are working with kids in order to improve outcomes in terms of behavioral health. And then the third piece that I think is important that we highlight is client engagement is a big focus of our services. So we recognize that many families cannot come to our facilities, our brick and mortar facilities, so we do offer telehealth services statewide. And we've done a lot of work to really embed services in child-serving systems. We have a school-based mental health program in partnership with the Anchorage School District, Fairbanks School District, and Meeting-Anchorage School District. And we have embedded services at our Providence Center, which is the Power Center. So trying to do outreach and engagement for kids who may not make it down to our physical locations. Next slide, please. So this is just a bit about who we serve. We serve kids as young as 3 through transition age youth, which is up to the age of 24. We have physical locations in Anchorage, Wasilla, and Fairbanks. Mat-Su Clinic is our newest clinic, and that's an integrated clinic that serves adults and children in one clinic. And then we have school-based services at 3 districts across the state, and then we offer services via telehealth statewide. That can be with any provider, whichever physical location they're located in. We serve a wide range of mental health concerns, so we have a lot of experience in the treatment of traumatic stress. But we have seen as we've grown our capacity, so we, 6 years ago, we were serving about 200 to 300 child clients a year. Now we serve over 1,800. We still serve the most in need child protection cases, but we've seen a marked increase in general mental health conditions, depression, anxiety, behavior and parenting challenges. So our most commonly treated condition now actually is adolescent and pediatric depression. So that's been a change for us. Next slide, please. Okay, this just talks about the range of services. We're a certified community behavioral care center, which essentially means that we offer continuum of care for children and adults. So we do everything from prevention services, so through the 1115 waiver service system, we can see kids who have not yet developed a psychiatric diagnosis but have a ZPO that qualifies them for services and provides them psychotherapy services. We have something called the Common Sense Parenting Curriculum, which parents can register for on our website that is available and accessible to families in the Anchorage community at no cost. And then our next level of services are traditional psychotherapy services. We offer crisis intervention, psychiatric and primary care, and then our most intensive services are an intensive outpatient program and our partial hospitalization program. Our partial hospitalization program is 5 days a week, 9 to 3. It's 33 hours of service for a child who's really at risk. Suicidal ideation or suicidal action, and then stabilization. It's a step down from acute hospitalization or a preventative step to help support them in the community. And we have a partial program physically in Anchorage, and we just opened one in Fairbanks. And it's been open a week. So we don't have to have families in our interior region travel down to Anchorage for a partial program because we get that service in the community. And it's a very brief intervention, typically 2 to 3 weeks. And our intensive outpatient program is available for kids who need a lot of support on maintaining skills and learning skills and generalizing skills. We have an IOP program for our pediatric population, so early childhood IOP, which is little types, and then we have an IOP for school-age kids and adolescents as well. And that is after school, so some of the barriers that we hear from families is really not wanting to take kids out of school for ongoing services. So this is accessible to families after school, and we can attend anywhere from 1 to 5 days a week depending on the need. That can be a longer term program. But typically we see about 3 to 5 weeks of service is what's needed there. Next slide, please. So some of our programs that transcend different locations, we have Alaska Child Trauma Center, which really focuses on treating childhood traumatic stress. We have a variety of treatment protocols to address childhood traumatic stress, psychotherapy treatment protocols. We also have Little Types, which is our early childhood program that focuses on the kids being age of 8 under caregivers. And then we have parental pathways that are for pediatric depression, anxiety, and behavioral challenges. Our newest program that we have just started offering is a eating disorder treatment program. That is spanning our partial program, our IOP, and clinic as well. So we're offering specialty psychotherapy services and group programming for children and youth who are recovering from an eating disorder. In order to be admitted to that program, they have to be medically stable, but we wanted to increase access for those clients who are needing out-of-state residential programs or IOP or PHP programs and to help support them in their homelessness in their own communities. So our IOP just started serving individuals who have eating disorders as of Tuesday. We opened that line of service. PHP has been doing it for a while, serving individuals who have eating disorders and have some capacity to do ongoing psychotherapy in our clinic in the spring for individuals who have eating disorders. So please think about that, if that's helpful for any of the children and families that we serve, and if they can be, if their behavioral health needs can be in an intensive outpatient program rather than out-of-state placement. So referrals can happen very easily through our website. And you can also just sign up for parenting classes. There's a good outline of all the services that we provide on our website, or families can call our main number to have an appointment either with psychiatric services or our clinic-based programs. That's 5631,000. That's all I have today. I think I kept it in pretty close to 7 minutes, I hope.
Thank you so much, Kristen. This is wonderful information. Is there any questions here in the room or that we received on the chat for Kristen? No? Excellent. Well, thank you so much. Oh, there is a question. We do have one.
Renee has a hand raised.
Yes. Hi, this is Renee with the Alaska EMS for Children program. I do have a question about this call referral line. And you said your locations were in school districts in Nenana, Fairbanks, and Anchorage. Now, does this call line reach all of those locations that the clinics are in and routes them into the right area of support?
Yeah, so yes, it does. So that's our statewide call line. We now have the ability to route to Fairbanks from that number. Fairbanks does have a separate number, but we now have that ability to route to Fairbanks. For school-based referrals, you can reach out to us, but really the best pathway for referral for school-based is for families or students to talk to their school counselor. So all of those partnerships with districts involve referrals from the school team. So they can come to us and we are happy to assess them and do what we call reverse referral. Then we'll take that referral to the student's neighborhood school, or they can talk to the school counselor for a referral to permanent services. There's 3 different partners that work in each school district. In Fairbanks, there's only us, but that just helps them get to the right provider and get through their school counselor.
Thank you for answering that. And just one real quick too, if say a pre-hospital provider or clinic staff were to engage with a kid who they would like to leave this number with, is this the correct number? Say that they're, okay, thanks.
Yeah. And we used to have a separate number, if you referred to us before, for child and family and adult, and now we've consolidated everything under this one number.
Thank you.
Thank you, Kristen. We got a question here from Dr. Hess.
Yeah, Dr. Hess from Targeting Pediatrics. The eating disorder program you have, is it also available in Wasilla, or is it mostly in Anchorage?
Yeah, eating disorder is physically in Anchorage. For psychotherapy services, those could be via telehealth for the IOP. We don't offer a virtual IOP or PHP at this point.
Okay, thank you.
Excellent. Thank you again, Kristen. All right. Now I'm excited to introduce Benamar Rai from WIT to share about her program.
I say good morning, good afternoon. Hi everybody, my name is Meeting-Anchorage. I am a nutrition educator for WIC and the outreach person, and I'm very happy to be with you guys today. Sorry. Go back.
Sorry.
Yeah. You tell me.
Apologies.
Yeah, I will enter.
Well, good afternoon, everyone. My name is Amy Collins. I'm the Executive Director of Best Beginnings. Thank you for having me today. For those of you who aren't familiar with Best Beginnings, we are a public-private partnership that helps ensure children in Alaska are starting kindergarten with all the skills they need to succeed, which spans various areas of development, including health, learning, general knowledge, literacy, communication skills. We were founded in 2006 with sort of the seeds of Best Beginnings with these key objectives. So our role in the community is largely to make sure that parents are engaged in their child's learning from birth. They're connected to all of you all and the amazing resources to support them in that method. and make sure that we have funds committed across the board to make sure that early investment's happening for our children, so by the time they enter the school system, they're healthy, they're ready to learn, and we can actually aid them in their path to reading proficiency and becoming functional adults in our society. Our work as a result of that mission spans a bunch of different areas. Most people, if they know Best Beginnings, it's because they've heard of Dolly Parton's Imagination Library. So we get to be the book people. We really do focus a lot of our work on the language and literacy components of early childhood development, and that includes coordinating the various affiliates across the state who are working to provide that service in their community. We also directly administer the Anchorage and Mat-Su programs now. So we are directly serving about 6,000 kids of the 14,000 statewide in the program. As a result of being in that program, we also have one of the largest access tools to parents in our community through weekly newsletters. So we're actually in communication weekly with about 10,000+ children and families in Alaska, which makes us a great resource for your resources to get information out. We've done some kindergarten readiness transitional camps here in Anchorage. We're expanding to Mat-Su and Eagle River next summer for those families who may not have had access to early childhood education formally. This is a program that's available in Fairbanks and Juneau through school districts, and we've been working with ASD and other partners to kind of have a private model here for those communities and families. And then we do lots of things like publish early learning activity guides. We make these free and available to any service provider. You can get these through our website. We're working on electronic means of distributions for these as well. We host a variety of events, and we engage in a lot of research and advocacy in general around this field. This is just a snapshot of the Alaska Developmental Profile, which, if you're not familiar with it, is sort of the one basic assessment we have about how kindergartners are entering their school start. And this looks at the various goals around the 5 domains of early learning. And you can kind of see the trajectory here about if children are coming to school with what they need, and the reality is that they aren't. And so we pay attention very closely to these metrics, as well with any others, to see what we can do and support to make this a different outcome for our kiddos. The Alaska Reads Act, of course, has been a phenomenal job of doing intervention starting at kindergarten with raising that proficiency once they enter the school system, but we're really looking at what we can do before that kindergarten start year. And then, for all of you, really why it matters, we know that literacy promotion is fundamentally tied to a prevention strategy for health outcomes. In fact, the American Academy of Pediatrics, if you remember back in 2014, released a toolkit around how books build brain connections and a policy statement that literacy promotion is an important part of medical practice. And just hot off the presses, 5 days ago, they updated it for the first time in 10 years with new research about the impacts on relational health, modeling reading between doctors and families, and book distribution work like Reach Out and Read. So there's some really fascinating research that's coming out in that report. We're still combing through it, but there will be a journal coming out in December in pediatrics that speaks very specifically to how we incorporate literacy in private practice, medical practice, as a prevention strategy, and the research on attachment model and what it does for children, which is super fascinating. So I wanted to highlight that for all of you. From that new update, there are a variety of recommendations that they've created for how medical service providers and support services can promote literacy development, particularly at health supervision visits, whether that's home visiting programs or well childs in clinics. They range from encouraging parents and caregivers to read, to actually reading together in the exam room, supporting parents in initiating that process, and modeling techniques for how you actually engage in shared reading with a child who maybe can't talk yet. Similarly, they also talk about the value of providing high quality books for children and families. There's a lot of ways that we can do that. They have research really specifically on the Reach Out and Read program, which we do have in many sites in Alaska, but not across the state. But we also know that there's other ways we can get books to kids too through various other programs, and it all wraps around to just how we can, as a community, support book distribution to make sure kids have books in the home. They talk about emphasizing the value of books that represent diverse cultures, characters in their community, and partnering with advocates to really influence national messaging and policies around the benefits of reading as more than just something fun to do in someone's lap. This is just a snapshot of where we work through the Imagination Library system. So if you don't know if there's one in your community, that's really great to find out. We provide marketing materials to make sure that your patients and your families know that it's an option for them. We can train volunteers and staff to actually enroll them directly in the program, so it's less paperwork for families on their end. But right now we're operating in 136 Alaska communities, and we're working on expanding to areas of the Bristol Bay region that are currently unserved and Glen Allen. The funding model for that is anyone who hosts that program as an affiliate has to pay $30 per child per year. We receive some funds from the state to support that through a grant process, and then about 2/3 of the program is privately funded right now through foundation grants and private individuals, and we're pretty much maxed at like what level of service we can support in our current funding landscape, and really working with different entities to see is this something you can incorporate in your private models, whether that's Reach Out and Read or Imagination Library, or something that we can find funding sources to support in the state. This is just the logic model about literacy programs. I'm not going to go through it, but it is interesting to look at and understand really the long-term aspect of how this really impacts families. We have done local research on the evaluation of the program here in Alaska. We know that it has a positive impact on both fine motor skills, school attendance, kindergarten readiness, and particularly literacy, language, communication skill metrics. These are some of the various ways that we partner with organizations. So it's kind of a menu, pick what you want and leave the rest. We do provide opportunities for story times in communities and resource sharing. We do presentations like this. We've started installing little free libraries in public spaces, offering grants to our partners to do the same in their communities. We have lots of volunteer opportunities, and really that enrollment aspect of helping people support getting the word out there and getting kids signed up for the program. It's one of the few programs that has no income or qualification metric. It just has to be in your zip code. And then advocating, we spend a lot of our time talking about all the wraparound services that feed early childhood development and coming together as a community to make sure we're connecting those resources to each other. That's just a fun little testimonial. If you've ever talked to somebody who's been through the program, they always have wonderful tear-jerking things to say about getting that last book in the mail, and so we know emotionally it's making a difference, and it's really exciting to see the research back that up with tangentially like how we're actually making a difference in the community. And then that's just our contact information. So if you ever want more information or resources for your individual sites, please feel free to reach out to us. 90% of what we offer is free of charge through the various grants that we operate, and we're always happy to brainstorm ways that you can incorporate literacy into your own community sites. So that's it.
Excellent. Are there any questions for Amy online? Wow, I would love to be the bearer of that news. That's such an exciting update to share that I think will impact everybody here in the work that we do. Next, I'm excited to introduce Shannon Parker and Kristen Spencer from the state of Alaska.
Good afternoon, everyone. I'm Shannon Parker, and I'm with Women's Children Family Health, and I work in the systems, the Alaska Early Childhood Systems, and Parents as Teachers state grants. I'm the manager there.
And yeah, Kristen Spencer from Dean, and early learning mostly with school districts, special education programs, and then also with pre-elementary programs that are funded by state grants and soon funded by the ADM. Yeah, so we're both also on the preschool development leadership team, and I'm going to explain what that means, and then Shannon's going to take over. There is this really big grant that comes from DC called the Preschool Developmental Grant Birth to 5. And it's got a couple phases to it. Our state applied for the initial application. It was a 1-year grant, and really that year was to be spent doing a needs assessment and a strategic plan with some other activities. COVID hit just as we were finishing that up, and so things weren't all neat and tidy by the end of that grant. Department of Health applied for a renewal grant. That's a 3-year grant. And so the state received that, and we are now working on our second year of the grant. briefly, this grant was established under the Every Student Succeeds Act, ESSA. That formerly was known as the No Child Left Behind Act, if you guys are familiar with that. But really the purpose is to help states have a coordinated and collaborative early childhood system, because they find that most states don't have a coordinated and collaborative early childhood education system, care and education system. I think that's it, yeah?
Yeah. So the main purpose of the Preschool Development Grant, Birth Through 5, when I look at it in systems, it's the best, because I look around this room and I see probably half of you I know through working in systems, different, we work together in committees, we're working together in different groups. You get funding from PDG, and I'm the project lead or procurement lead. So this room has just been amazing to see and hear the activities everyone's doing. And so we're just going to go through and just share what the purpose is, some of the activities we've been doing, and what's coming up with PDG. So, main purposes of PDG: to strengthen state early childhood systems and prepare children for kindergarten. We want to invest in early childhood care and ECC workforce. Identify opportunities to expand access to high-quality early childhood care and education. We know early childhood care has been an issue in almost every state, but Alaska it definitely is. And support a comprehensive mixed delivery system. These are the activities that Alaska is doing, and just some of the descriptions. I won't go through all of them. You'll get a copy of this, I'm sure. But just as we've talked about, one of the main purposes was to update the Alaska Early Childhood Needs Assessment, which was just completed and should be out soon. And then through that, we've just started our work in the statewide early childhood strategic direction through AECCC, which is the Alaska Early Childhood Coordinating Council, which is chaired by both the Commissioner of Health and Commissioner of Department of Ed. So we want to maximize family and childhood engagement, support the Birth Through 5 workforce, disseminate best practice, promote early childhood program quality improvement, and we have provided some sub-grants to communities, which we can talk about a little later.
So the strategic plan, we're going to have a month of public comment for the updated strategic plan. So hopefully you are all on the email list to be notified of when that's happening. And please, 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 if you have the time to look at it and give your feedback, because we want it to be inclusive of as many folks across the state as we can.
Thank you. So year one, we kind of had a late start. I think Kristen mentioned that. So getting things out was a little slower. So year one, there wasn't a lot happening, but we did get some things going. We had their proposals for the strategic direction request out. They updated the contractor for the needs assessment. Some of the activities that are really important is we initiated the funding for Universal Developmental Screening Advisory Committee, and that included public service announcements, printed material, and social media outreach. And that was through A2P2 was the contractor there. Initiated funding of the Early Childhood Network, which we also call the ECN, and this was to elevate early childhood in Alaska by collaboration amongst community partners throughout the state. This was through Department of Health and also A2P2. This has been, I am on that with a partner from A2P2, and the ECN just keeps growing and growing. It's been a wonderful group, and it's a collective voice from all over Alaska. So that's been what we really want with this, is to get that engagement.
Sure. All right, so like I said, we're now finishing up year two, and we have achieved the needs assessment. Have any folks here received notice that the needs assessment said, okay, Emily and Joanne, okay, we need to expand that, and Becky. Okay, Carmen. Okay, good. Soon that'll be posted on, oh gosh, you guys, Early Childhood Alaska. Is that the name of the website? Yeah, earlychildhoodalaska.org. You can also check for it there. We've been spending a lot of time now on getting the strategic plan then updated, which, as Shannon mentioned, is through the ACCC. And then a lot of continued activities that were done in year one, like Roots Awards to folks who are registered in the SEED registry, funding Parents as Teachers State Office, and FAN, which I learned was also a part of that office, and the Strengthening Families trainings. And so the Community Innovation Grants, how many folks have heard about those? Okay, Emily, you've heard about everything. Thank you. Yeah, I don't know if you want to talk a little bit about what those are.
This is one of my favorite parts of this whole group, is I get to hear from communities and about the Community Innovation Grant. So I think it was year one, the end of year one. I'm looking at Emily because she helped write this grant. We in partner with Thread and Department of Health, PDG, and maybe some ARPA funds, I think. There was this Community Innovation Grant that was offered to communities to elevate early childhood, which meant they could either they could get money to do construction on their child care site, they could improve it, they could add a new program. I think one of the programs in Fairbanks had a partnership with a business, a big business, so they had a back and forth, we'll take your kids in our child care for a certain amount of money. It was very successful. I think 17 communities out of 100 and something were chosen. And throughout the past year, it's been just amazing what they've done with this money that they didn't have before. Especially in areas where there was no childcare, or maybe lack of staffing for childcare, lack of training for childcare. What they did with this, there wasn't really any boundaries around it as long as it went towards that goal of childcare. We are looking in year 3, I believe, to continue some aspect of the Community Innovation Grant. Still kind of in the works, but we're not going to let that drop. It was very, very popular. These are just a few more activities. I'm not going to go through all of them because there's so many of them. We do a lot of work in workforce just because we want to keep that in Alaska going. So whether it's training, whatever training the workforce needs in early child care and education, continue funding for the Parents as Teachers State Office. One of the big ones we just started this last year was the Pyramid Model Framework. I don't know if you want to talk a little bit about that, since you're the Pyramid Model guru.
Wow. Yeah, so Pyramid Model is basically, in schoolese, it's a positive behavior support system, and it starts out with having a workforce, the workforce, early care and education workforce, well trained and knowledgeable in social emotional development. And then the pyramid goes up, and the level of systems support gets more specific as a child's social emotional development, also known as behavior, gets to be more problematic for that child. So it impacts increasing our early childhood coaching capacity, also infant and early childhood mental health capacity, and so we're really working on strengthening those groups of professionals with these funds so that it'll be long-lasting and sustainable after these funds run out.
Year 2, we've also initiated funding for eKids, which this is going to really Kristen's department at Department of Ed, but just to have a system that is cohesive, smooth, one place to get everything. We're still in the works on this. It's a hope, a dream. So this is what we're really working for. and then continuing the community innovation grants, and then initiating funding of Alaska Head Start stabilization grants. Year 3, we started in year 2. We're ending year 2 coming up here soon. We've started some activities that we're just going to continue into year 3, one of which is called the Family Engagement and Leadership Training, which is FELT training, which I just want to promote a little bit just because it is so wonderful for when we talk about family engagement. We have a lot of families that we want to hear their voice, but sometimes they hold back. They don't know how to do it. They always think maybe we're, the professionals. They don't have anything to say. With this FELT training, it's a training for that, for families, for professionals, for parents who want to learn more, be that advocate. Right now, it can be done online. We are now working on getting a trainer that can do it in person. But just to let you know, this is an activity, a training that is being continued through year 3 for those families. And then we're going to continue a lot of our Strengthening Families, FAN training, and then we continue this year, year 2, we promoted the home visiting echo for home visitors, nurses, parents as teachers, infant learning providers. So any of those home visitors, they have an echo for this year. We're hoping to promote that for year 3. This pretty much the same, continue funding pyramid. We are in our 2nd year, going into our 3rd year of pyramid. So really it's still just a state leadership team learning how to bring that model back and implement it into those school districts' Head Starts. We're looking at Part C modules and childcare. So how we bring that back and implement it to those programs. So year 3, continue funding eKids. That's the big one. We'd love to see that happen. And then as grant mandated, we have our contractor, the Stellar Group, evaluation that's happening with PDG. Is there anything else to add on that?
No. Was there a slide about the RFIs?
Yes.
Okay, good.
There you go. Go for it.
Well, what we're most excited about is we feel like word has gotten out, and we'll be pushing more advertisement of the PDG, but for year 3, we'll be posting now or very soon. It's in the process, an RFI, and really looking for supporting innovative ideas that address the 4 of the 6 activities that are in the PDG. And so please be on the lookout for that. The request for funds just needs to, again, tie how that project that's being proposed is associated with the activities that are in the PDG. Yeah.
I think with this request for information, what we're seeing is we'd really like to get this money out. It's our last year to regions that really need it, most vulnerable. We just feel like we need to get the word out there. So if you know people, we're going to try and plaster it wherever we can. You can be a small organization, a big organization. It might be, really easy to get $10,000, but maybe you need $150,000. So just to let you know, word is out soon, and we'd love to get requests. It's for a good cause. We have a big leadership team. I don't think it was as big when Emily was there. It's just gotten bigger, so this is just part of it. We're, like I said, a lot of systems work we're crossing with Department of Ed, Child Care Assistance, and Section of Women and Children and Family Health. So it's been fun. It's a good group of people. Very passionate women. Let's just put it that way.
Okay, great. Any questions?
Are there any questions for Shannon or Kristen? Excellent. Next, I'm excited to introduce Pam Conrad-Michaels once we get some seating around.
Okay. I was excited that they asked me to come today, and I told someone I was coming, and they said, but you're just about babies. So I hope that when we're done, you don't think we're just about babies. So Nurse-Family Partnership was devised in the late 70s, early 80s by Dr. Olds in Colorado, and it's an evidence-based program. So now we have about 40 years of data to show that children that have gone through this program with their mothers have increased education rates, so high school diplomas and on to college, decreased incarceration, and decreased use of public funds. So they have more stable housing and food and those sort of opportunities when they're older. So who are our families? They're pregnant women must meet criteria, and they have to be in the federal poverty level, so that's WIC or federal guidelines. And they also had to be part of the federal high needs area. So there was a state, the state looked at where people were and where the highest needs were, and it was considered to be in Anchorage and Matsu. So that's a huge area. So we had to say, okay, where can we drive to that's reasonable? So we go Girdwood to Big Lake to Sutton. We do have a really small trial right now with Sunshine Clinic, so that's between Willow and Talkeetna, to say, can we do this virtually, or do they come into Willow or Wasilla enough that we can meet with them in an alternative place? So that's ongoing, and we found a few barriers, like they don't have the best cell phone coverage, they don't have the best internet, so what does that look like? We do find they come into Wasilla quite a bit, so we are probably able to meet them in different ways. They have to enroll prior to delivery, and it used to be they had to enroll before their 28th week and 6 days. So now we really can enroll up to delivery, but that means we really need that referral probably before 36 weeks if we're going to be able to contact them, schedule an enrollment visit, and meet with them. And it has to be voluntary. So OCS can't say, you have to be in this program or we're going to take your children away. So they have to want to do it. So we can serve somewhere between 170 and 200 families. It really depends on the complexity. We are partnering with Catholic Social Services, so we have a lot of refugee families who don't speak English, who don't understand our medical culture. They take up a little bit more time than some of our traditional families. So if we get to the point of a wait list, we look at like first-time moms, expectant teenagers, and then women that have had other children that have high psychosocial needs. So originally we could only serve first-time moms who were less than 28 weeks and 6 days, and that was a real big barrier. So about 2 years ago, we got the right to serve women who have already had children or who were later in their pregnancy, and that's opened up a large population to us. It's also sort of a big learning curve for us, so these aren't our traditional new moms that we had sort of our education all set for. So it's been challenging, and we've learned a lot of more resources in the community and things that we can refer them to. So as I said, we're an evidence-based home visiting model. We focus on prenatal care up until the baby is second birthday. We meet with the family where they are. That could be in a homeless shelter, it could be in a substance use program, it could be in their home, wherever they are on their journey. We try to meet them in their home and in their home environment if possible. For some people, they don't want someone else in their home. They prefer to meet somewhere else. We can meet on Zoom. We do have to at least meet once in person a year per McV guidelines. So we are a free service. We're funded by McV, so Maternal Infant Child Home Visiting. I think I missed a letter in there. And we do provide language interpreter services. So our goal really is to connect to community resources so that our clients aren't just dependent on us, but that we have this whole network and that we're getting that network to our clients, and that we improve pregnancy outcomes and maternal health, that we enhance not just our moms and our pregnant person's mental health, but also the physical and mental health of the child, that we promote child development, we increase economic self-sufficiency of the family, and provide support and services during the first 1,000 days. So how do we do that? So we have a team of 8 nurses, and developing that trusting relationship. So you're spending like over 2.5 years with this family, and so you really are learning to bond with them and trust and know their needs. And I didn't realize how important that was until I went to a home visiting shadow visit with a client, and the mom started crying, and she said, "You're the only one who's been here since the beginning. My care coordinator at this agency dropped me as soon as I found an apartment, and the one at this agency changed 3 times, and I know that I can call you when you're on the other end of the line." So it is important to have that long-term trusting relationship. Providing education on pregnancy, what's birth look like, what's parenting look like, what's normal child development, encouraging their own life goals. So, and their own self-sufficiency. Did they have their high school diploma? If they do, then what do they want to do for employment? What does that look like for their family? Assisting with the health system. So a lot of families, especially if they're refugees, they don't understand our healthcare system. In some of their, where they came from in their culture, for 40 days they stayed home, and the midwife or the doctor came to them, the pediatric care provider came to them, the lactation support specialist came to them, and they didn't go anywhere. And now we're asking people who don't speak English to make multiple appointments at different locations, and they have no transportation, and they can't call a cab because they can't speak English. So that's a really complex situation, and we help them navigate that whole medical thing. And how do you help them make appointments if they can't do it themselves, and teach them how, so that they don't have to rely on us every time they want to make a doctor's appointment. We screen for depression, anxiety, intimate partner violence, and developmental screens for the child using standard tools, so that if we see that something's off, we can coordinate with the OB provider or the pediatrician, or make referrals to PICS, so that we can get them the resources that they need. And then we monitor the maternal health, child health, physical assessments, weight checks, growth patterns, encouraging prenatal care, trying to get them to keep their visits, well child checks and immunizations. So who refers to us? So anyone can refer. It doesn't have to be a physician. It doesn't have to be an order. Most likely, usually they're OB providers, family medicine providers, midwives, Planned Parenthood, WIC, Heart to Heart, Heart Reach, community pregnancy centers, school nurses, self-referral, Young Lives, also pediatricians. And so sometimes pediatricians forget that the baby's already born, but now mom's pregnant again, and you have a family that you're feeling is really at high risk. So go ahead and give us a call or send us a referral. So how do we work with pediatric providers? So the OB providers, of course, like if we see someone that has hypertension or is having issues, or we think they're preeclamptic, we reach out to them and coordinate that care as well as keeping their visits. But so with pediatric providers, we want to coordinate care and make sure that they're getting to their appointments. If we see something that's off, they have a growth delay, or we're worried about their development, or helping mom understand immunizations. If we have OCS concerns, sometimes having that collaboration with the pediatric partner, realizing they're a little concerned too. So can we come together to maybe make a plan so we don't have to call OCS, or maybe we have to call OCS, like just sort of working together, see what that looks like. And then assisting clients to make and keep those appointments. So some things that we've done, just so to think about some success stories that we've had. We had a baby that was at 75th percentile, but had gone to pediatrician, missed some appointments, saw whoever else was on call that day because the regular physician was out, didn't go to their next appointment, then saw somebody else, but the nurse noticed that their growth chart was severely dropping down to the 5th percentile. So she was able to call the provider and say, have you noticed this? And they looked back and said, oh my gosh, we missed this. So let's bring them in. They work together. For some reason, there were 3 adults in this home. They couldn't remember to feed the baby. So why? Anyone who has a baby in their life, like I have a little grandchild, there's no way that Ty's not getting fed. But this baby just either got tired of crying or was just really complacent, and mama would forget to feed the baby. So ended up that we tried to make a plan together but it ended up being that there was an OCS referral made. But then the nurse was really able to work with the mom because now the family's taking it seriously. And we put reminders on her phone, put reminders on other people in the family's home. And now the baby's like up to his 80th percentile, growing normally. The OCS case is closed. Another one, we had a baby, was about 50th percentile, was down to about 3%. And mom was getting her breast milk from Facebook. So the nurse home visitor looked at it, and it really looked like it was watered down something. It may have been some breast milk in there, probably not just breast milk. So they were able to work with the pediatrician to say, like, if we're going to transfer this baby to formula, how do we do that? Let's make a feeding plan, and baby's now back up to the regular birth curve. We had a refugee family who, mom was told in Sudan that her 6-year-old daughter had that the vagina was closed. That's all mom knew in her language. She tried to tell the nurse that. The nurse was trying to understand Sudanese to English what that meant. And we have an interpreter on their line, but sometimes it's really, but working with the pediatrician, they realized, okay, she needed a urology appointment. But mom's language barrier and transportation barrier made it really hard for her to figure out, how do I get and keep this appointment? Who do I call and what does that look like? And when I get there, am I even going to be able to explain to this doctor what I've been trying to tell everybody else? And so we're not allowed to transport patients, but she was able to help make that taxi call, get them to the urologist, and she went to the appointment with her. And they were able to realize it was really just something as much as a labral adhesion that just needed complete. And then, because mom couldn't even focus on her pregnancy until she dealt with this 6-year-old, because it was really weighing heavily on her mind. So those are just some things we do to help support families in the pediatric realm. If you're on Epic, you can refer by putting in an ambulatory referral. I'm sure you're going to remember it's REF 144 NFP. But if you type in Prov, AK, nurse family, or even start with some of that, or ambulatory, hopefully you'll find us. If not, there is a referral form that you can fax in or you can email. There's a QR code on that, or you can just call us. I forgot my stuff, so I'm going to run upstairs real quick if anyone wants any referral forms. We can actually make you one too that has your name and everything on it, so you don't have to fill that out every time. What's really helpful is if we have their first, last name, and a middle initial, the date of birth, where they actually live now, and a good phone number for them. Sometimes we get a referral, but it's mom or dad's phone number. They might be in Epic, but the only time they were in Epic is when they were born, or they came to the ER with a broken arm when they were 10, and now you have a 17-year-old and you don't know, does mom know she's pregnant? Does dad know she's pregnant? That phone number doesn't match the phone number that we have here. The address isn't right. So we don't want to assume that person in Epic's really them without having those 3 identifiers. And if you know that the parent knows and that's the phone number we have, that's really nice to know too. So we're not calling and saying something that we shouldn't say. We try to be really careful and really vague when we call about our referrals. And then if you know the EDD, great. If not, you can put unknown and we'll figure it out. So what some of our clients have said about us is that my nurse really was the only person who believed in me. They were a great child development coach. They connected me to my community. They were so culturally sensitive in a place where I didn't feel like I fit. They were inspirational. They were consistently present when I felt like I had all these other people in and out of my life. They were mental health support, personal growth support. They were a nurse. It means a lot to them sometimes, because a lot of people, I had a call from a mom who had a 15-year-old and she's begging me to enroll her daughter, and her daughter didn't want to. She goes, she thinks that she knows everything because she has TikTok. And she goes, I'm really scared that this is where she's getting her information. So having, that we're educators, knowledgeable. Those are some of our whys. So those are 2 of our clients that have graduated recently. And we've been trying hard lately to meet out in the community sometimes with them so that they can see, and in places that they can afford, that they can get to. So the public library, parks, you know, the botanical gardens, the reading sessions, those sort of things, so that families can not only just connect to their nurse and to the park, but also meet other people out in the community. So. And that's my team. So 8 nurse home visitors, and we have an admin who helps us keep everything together with our referrals. Does anyone have any questions? And that's our contact information if anyone wants. So like I said, if you want us to make you your own referral, then we can type your name on and I can get those to you. I can also send you a fillable form through email that you can just fill out online and email to us.
We have one more presentation from Amy Simpson, and I would love, it's very exciting because she's got her Swaddle Me bags, and so I do want to acknowledge the time. It is 1:35, so if people need to leave, you're more than welcome, but I would love, Amy, if you are able, if you would like to share some of your materials with us.
Sure, and I'll be very brief because I know you're all very busy. So I sent in a flyer so you guys have a lot of information. So last year we gave out 3,305 of these bags. Wow. I want to say thank you to so many people in this room that contribute to this stuff. I just have them if you want to look at them and see what's in those. So these go out to every parent of a baby born in Anchorage. We distribute them at A&MC, Providence, Alaska Regional, and then 2 birthing centers. Jay Bear kind of fell off the planet. I think, when people PCS and I've been having difficulty connecting, so if anybody knows of somebody, I can't get anyone to call me back. I'm thinking I'm selling them something. I'm trying to assure them I'm giving something away. But, so if you have any connections, that would be really, really helpful. That would be me.
She has them.
I just volunteered. Oh, awesome. Great. Because it's like, outside of just sitting in front of the hospital with a bin, which they don't let me on days. Probably. But I can help you with that. That would be great. Thank you so very much. But what we're experiencing is that we have people are just adding to it. These are becoming quite hefty and quite large. And so just kind of what's next for us is we have these big volunteer events to pack 1,000 bags at a time. That's a very unwieldy event. So I'm trying to think of different ways to build the bags. It would be great to have kind of a group of people that would want to look at like what should be in the bags, and we try very hard to make sure all the information is vetted. We don't have the wackadoodle things in there, but yeah, exactly. So as this has gained traction, I've always considered it a community-wide gift to families to celebrate this new baby, and I'd really love to have it be part of if other people have something to share or want to contribute to this in any way. I think it would be really lovely. But we've been going gangbusters, and I'm really, this was kind of a side hustle we put together at some point. I'm not even sure how it happened, but now it's a thing. But
Do you have a Facebook link in there to buy the press book?
we promote that at every turn.
Donation amounts of items to be put in the bag. 4,000.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. So there's approximately 4,000 babies born in the Anchorage area, and when we include graduating. So, that's what I shoot for, is about 4,000. And some programs like Providence Children's Hospital donates cash. AMC donates some in kind. They print out these the little rings. I don't know where they are. No, those ones. So those are on like this plastic.
Yeah.
Can't rip, and they're just awesome. So they print out those. A2P2 donates cash. Thread donates cash. Other folks, if we want things in there, WIC donates or gives me 4,000 brochures a year to put in there. So but now they're getting quite heavy. So they used to be nice little compact things. Now they're quite heavy. We do purchase the blankets in bulk and do that every year. But it's been really lovely, and we just want to make sure that from the very beginning, parents had a lot of really quick information on developmental milestones and social emotional development and where to go when they need help.
Yeah.
So I thank you all for participating.
Thank you. Thank you, Amy. Appreciate it.
Oh, and we have a diaper pantry. So this is another side hustle that happened in the last year, and I had no idea what the need is, and I had no idea how expensive diapers are. So we do have a diaper pantry. Parents can come and pick up diapers if they need it. It's just on Wednesday afternoons, otherwise we would get no other work done, never. And then on Sunday, we have an event at Clark Middle School called Pick a Truck, and where we'll have fire trucks and dump trucks and buses and delivery vans and all that there, and kids can explore them. And there'll also be indoor events in case it's raining or snowing, but fingers crossed it's supposed to not rain. So I hope to, and it's free, so I hope to see you all there.
That has been the talk of my house all week. We will be there. My daughter's got her firefighter jammies. She's going to wear them there. She's ready.
We were supposed to have this. This was going to be our big, huge event in September, but COVID hit in March. Right?
Yeah.
So then we had to cancel, and so this has been on hold since 2020, and so we decided just to do a little one and see how it flies in the community. I think it will be really fun.
Very exciting.
I hope you all can come.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Amy. So just some final announcements. We have our next partnership meeting will be on December 6th, and we will be in Dillingham, which is very exciting. As Carmen mentioned earlier, we don't have a partnership meeting in November because the Pediatric Symposium is going to be happening on November 8th and 9th. So we hope that everyone online, here in person, that we'll see you at either the symposium or our next partnership meeting. If you're here in the room, we've got some great Help Me Grow materials that are in the back that you can take with you. There's a couple there that are just the example only, but you are more than welcome to order the materials. They're all free. We want to be able to share them to the families that you all support across the state. And any ways that we can support you with our Help Me Grow access line, we are here to provide support. Anything that families are looking for, resources, referrals, we're able to get to know the family a little bit and then connect them to those resources. And if you as a provider are stumped on who to call, you can also call us and we can help you bridge that gap in support. So I believe that is everything for today. Thank you everybody for participating, for your presentations, for the great conversation. For everybody online, thank you for joining us as well. And we look forward to seeing you all in November. Take care.